Do you think AI is a threat or opportunity? Which side are you? Elon Musk gave a comment that next 10-15 years there will not be any jobs left for you. Work will be optional.
So if you take it as is, yes. But
which type of jobs are at the most risk?
so if you think about high risk jobs, what is AI good at, right? AI is very good at
Which AI tools are you using and how is that saving time for you?
what are you coding is based on certain output you're trying to drive. So the problem statement has shifted from actually coding, but how do I think about what I want to drive? So the power is now in the hands of thinkers.
Hi friends, today's guest is Mr. Siddharth Sureka, Chief AI Officer of Motilal Oswal Financial Services. In this episode, we are going to delve deeper into AI, artificial intelligence. Is AI going to add jobs or is AI going to take away jobs? What type of jobs are going to become redundant when it comes to AI? Is AI a threat? Is AI an opportunity? What sort of AI tools are useful for you and which type of AI tools Mr. Siddharth Sureka is using personally? All of that in this podcast. Hopefully you're going to learn something new in this podcast. With that, if you're new to my channel, hit the subscribe button now and let me know in the comments a thank you. It gives a motivation to me and my team to do podcasts like this. With that, enjoy this episode. Siddharth, thank you so much for giving me your time. There is a lot going on when it comes to AI, right? There is one side of extreme where, for example, Elon Musk gave a comment that next 10-15 years, there will not be any jobs left for you. Work will be optional and AI and robots will take over. That's extreme. Sundar Pichai, on the other hand, said, you know what, AI will eat up some jobs, but it's going to create more jobs. Now, you are a chief AI officer, which in itself is a new job title, right?
Sure.
I only heard it very recently. Where are you sitting when it comes to job losses? Because there's a lot of fear mongering going around in social media specifically. People are saying that, okay, we will not have jobs and whatnot. Where do you stand?
First of all, thank you for having me. And it's a fantastic question to start out with because in a lot of panel discussions, this is the first question that we all get, right? So do you want me to start with a good news or a bad news?
100% good news.
So according to a recent study by World Economic Forum, 170 million new jobs will be created.
Mm-hmm.
And for the bad news, about 90 million jobs will be lost,
Right.
right? So the net new jobs that is created is about 2x,
Right.
right? So there's like you called out, whole set of new jobs that's created. And to illustrate this, right, imagine you were in late 1890s, early 1900s, and walking in the cobbled pathways of Western countries, right? And you see horses and horse riders with the cart and carriages. And suddenly Ford walks up and says, hey, I have a car, right? So imagine what the horse riders go through
Right.
in terms of their displacement.
Mm.
If we draw the parallel, right, we can think about there were three types of people back then too. One were like really pessimist, right? This will take away my job. And what do I do now? The other end of the spectrum, like you called out, this is the best thing. It can take you to the moon, right? It's a car, but it can take you to the moon.
Yeah.
And a lot of sales that you see right now is around that stage. And right in the between was I call our pragmatists, right? Like they were the learners. They understood how to adapt to the cars. They learned, the risk management part of it. They learned how to accelerate, when to brake, and really took it for the ride. And they are the ones that were successful from both of these other cohorts, right? Similarly now, what you will see is we'll have same cohorts. What we have to make sure that we all are learning about AI, upskilling ourselves, and new forms of jobs will get created, like how there were less and less horse riders, but net new jobs in terms of the ecosystem that got created was immense, right? You had insurance companies show up,
Mm-hmm.
you had mobile parts show up, right? Then you had mechanic repairs. So the entire ecosystem got created. Similarly, a new ecosystem is getting created. And now we just have to adapt to the new ecosystem.
Okay, brilliant. So help me understand, please, Siddharth, that which type of jobs are at the most risk, if I will, and then let's also then try and find out. So, for example, World Economic Forum published that report, and they talked about, okay, 90 million or whatever number you just said, it's going to disappear, those jobs. What are those jobs, so that at least we get a understanding, okay, these types of jobs are at the risk and they are going to be soon gone, and then talk about, let's say, these type of jobs are going to get created, and therefore people should try and pivot.
So we can probably classify it in like high risk jobs
Right.
and low risk jobs, right?
Okay.
So if you think about high risk jobs, what is AI good at, right? AI probably is very good at data entry jobs, right? It's very good at very templated driven pattern matching, pattern recognition kind of jobs. If you take those characteristics, right? If you are customer service in a BPO, right, which is very templatized, and we can have now a voice to voice AI systems that can take a call and respond to you, those kind of jobs definitely come top of the mind, which are in jeopardy, right? Those are at really high risk jobs. The second one is again bookkeeping kind of jobs, very repeated patterns that you see again and again. Those are the kind of jobs that are really at high risk. If you're a code monkey, when I say code monkey, it's really low level programming where all you're doing is you're taking specs. You're not doing systems thinking. You're not thinking from an architectural standpoint, and you're just coding that as is. That's like a code monkey, right? You're not really adding your intelligence on top of the basics that you've provided to you. Those are the kind of jobs which are at high risk,
Right.
right? But now if you pivot in terms of what are some of the jobs which are probably low risk, right? Or lesser risk. These are the jobs which will be either augmented, right? So think about the doctors. Tomorrow's doctors will be leveraging AI, but they will be leveraging AI to make them smarter or do help in diagnosis, because there's real limitations in terms of the radiologists that are available, right? If you do one search about which are kind of jobs that need help, are jobs like radiologists, right? Similarly, you need good teachers, but you still need somebody to teach them. So teachers who use AI tools to help students learn better, those will not go away. So things which need high human touch, building relationships, making decisions, right? The real things which make us human, those are still going to stay and be pervasive, and AI will augment those jobs.
Right. So in that case, professions like you took an example of doctors. So within that, then there are people who would learn and quickly adopt to the AI. Right. There will be doctors who would, will say that, what, this is going to help me. Let me go and learn. They're going to be benefited by that. But there may be doctors who might say that, what, this is too much of work, because I have to learn my medical, whatever, the studies and the research and everything. And therefore, if I now spend a lot of time in AI, I'm not doing it. I'm not liking. So maybe they are also at the danger at the same time, would you say?
I think that's a mind shift, Rahul. So if you think about it, the idea of AI is to make their lives easier.
Right.
It's an enabler, right? It's a tool to make their lives easy. So as long as they take time to see how it can make their life easy, there's a slight curve, I would say. Even that curve is really diminishing as days go by, right? I think they will come on board. So the idea is how does AI make their lives easy in reaching out to more patients now, right?
Right. And you also mentioned, Siddharth, about the coding jobs in IT, right? And you said anything that is very easy to code and very standard code that does not need a lot of thinking and, very complex calculations, algorithms or whatever. Even like just few days back, Anthropic came out from nowhere and said about COBOL, right? That they are going to, that their Claude can modernize the COBOL programming and the platforms. So that to me, on the surface of it, sounds like that AI actually can do a lot more complicated stuff and not just the plain vanilla coding that people have been doing. So do you think that very soon we are also now moving towards complex learning, a complex piece of code of work that IT have been doing? Is that also the threat now?
So if you take it as is, yes, you're absolutely right, right? Like it's amazing how the rate of change is accelerating so much, right? Claude came up with Opus and that changes the game, right? Now they've come up with the ability to manage COBOL too, right? And continue to build upon, right? So absolutely, but there'll be new types of jobs that gets created in a similar pipeline.
Mhm.
So what I mean by that is you need more systems thinking,
Mhm.
right? You'll need AI engineers who can work and govern those AI pipelines that'll be generating that code. So you wouldn't be doing the code as much, right? I think we are already at 40-50% where the codes are written by AI. They'll probably go up to 80-90% maybe 100% for that matter, right? But how do you manage that code in terms of creating those pipelines? How do you provide the inputs so that you can get the right output? Then ability to test the output, right? That entire end-to-end systems thinking, governance, security, all that will come in play where, a more evolved architect will
Mm.
come in play, right? So
Right.
the there'll be a shift or a pivot in types of coding jobs that come through.
The nature of the work, you mean, is going to change.
The nature of the work which the AI engineers will do will shift, right? So they will be managing the pipelines.
Right.
They really won't be doing the coding.
And within IT sector, for example, we have a lot of freshers, new joiners who enter into the industry, and of course, in the beginning, they're only doing small pieces of coding, which is very standard. It's not complicated, right? 1 year, 2 year experience, a senior software engineer or software engineer. Do you think those jobs are at higher risk, or do you think no? Actually,
that is actually at high risk.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, right. So it is at high risk because, again, if you think about it, if you take a step back, right, what are you coding is based on certain output you're trying to drive.
Mm-hmm.
So the problem statement has shifted from actually coding, but how do I think about what I want to drive?
Mm-hmm.
So the power is now in the hands of thinkers.
Right.
If I can think, the coding has become so cheap, and I have an assistant who can code for me. I can actually let it go, code for it, and test how it's working for me. Is my thinking coming through live from a coding assistant, right? So
Right.
I think that's where the shift is happening. So we have to develop more thinkers,
Right.
right? How do we think about problem statements? And in fact, there's a concept called Givon's paradox,
Mm-hmm.
where something which becomes cheaper doesn't mean it goes away. It just means it becomes more available, right?
Right.
So because coding has become easier, it's become cheaper. It doesn't mean that coding will go away. It'll just mean coding will become more pervasive.
Right.
Now, somebody who's not a technical person but can think, right, like has the domain knowledge, can, let's say, okay, let's go and build some app, right? Let's be sitting here and how about creating a podcast through ABC, right?
Right.
Like you can quickly create some apps around it and test it. So that's the beauty. So the world lies to the thinkers now,
Right.
not the coders, if you will.
Right. Okay, no, this makes a lot of sense. So, okay, having said this, then if I want to start learning about AI, right, where do I focus? Because even within the AI, there are a lot of things, and there is a rapid change, or the pace is very, very high in terms of tools coming up, and then new tools coming up, and then the new tools coming up. So as a learner, where do I start when it comes to learning the AI, and which are the areas that I need to really focus on?
That's such a difficult question, Rahul. Like everything changes so fast. But so first of all, depends on where are you on your maturity curve for AI, right? If you're right at the beginner, just get comfortable with playing some of these chat conversational assistants like ChatGPT or Claude. Just get comfortable with them, right? Like summarize things and learn from it, do brainstorming, right? You can even practice your interviews, see if your resumes are well written, given we are in the topic of jobs, right? So that's where you start. Just get comfortable. The other end of the spectrum is really where once you understand how this functions and how you can talk to it, there are different tools for different outcomes you want to drive, right? So like I said, if you're a thinker, you want to try and create an app, you can start picking up a coding assistant.
Right.
Now the barrier to coding is very sharply decreasing, right? Now you still need to do a little bit of coding, but like you rightly called out, as we progress in this journey, right, probably you wouldn't even need to know coding at all, and the assistant will do it for you end to end, right? So that's where you start heading then in terms of if you want to code something, right? If you are a content creator, there are tools like Mid-Journey. Can you create some content and see how that looks? There's video creation tools like VO, right? Again, start dabbling with those. These are the tools that you have at your disposal to use as it. The end of the spectrum is where we build these kind of tools,
Right.
and that comes with more understanding about how these tools are built, and how do you customize these tools, right? So these are that extreme end if you want to go into depth about becoming an AI engineer, building AI products, and really taking on that engineering frame of mind. So it depends upon your maturity of where you are in AI and what you want to accomplish through this.
So if I were to put it, then two roles. One is the AI developer, the person who is actually developing all of these things. And the second is the AI user.
Correct.
So they are two different, distinct roles, if you like. And then it's up to the individual to decide which segment they want to get into. So whether they want to use AI or whether they want to develop something on AI. Okay. So if I talk about using AI, then where are you seeing AI's usage the most right now? Like maybe, I don't know, from a sector perspective or types of jobs or companies where, you're seeing some of the companies doing a lot of work in AI. Where do you see the maximum adoption right now in AI from a usage perspective?
So we'll take it both. We'll think from a sector perspective also, and then we'll think from a functional standpoint also. Sector perspective first, right? Like you called out, because coding is becoming so much easier, and we have seen that reflect in some of the stock market changes and prices recently, right? A lot of the coding work is shifting. So the IT sectors are shifting and learning and upskilling themselves rather than doing technology or engineering transformation or software development transformations. How do we do AI transformations? So companies like TCS is partnering with OpenAI, I believe. Infosys is partnering with Anthropic. All of these are coming in partnerships and really driving changes for themselves, right? So these are the sectors which are changing fast in terms of adoption of AI because time needs it, right? Then there's fintech. We sit in a lot of data. We have a lot of patterns, signals, etc. to mine. So fintechs and financial services organizations, I think, are really quick to adopt AI, right? I think then there'll be healthcare because, that's one area which a lot of tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 cities can benefit from, right? So healthcare will be the next and so on and so forth, right? So that's how I think the progression will be. I think manufacturing will be a little bit lesser,
right?
But that's just a spectrum, right? Who starts first and then who catches up, if you will. If you think in terms of functional roles, I think we spoke about customer service roles, right? Any organization which has customer service, these are like knowledge workers and they need knowledge at the fingertips. So if we can provide conversational assistance to the knowledge workers to interface with the client, or can provide directly the response to the clients, right? Then those work efforts are much reduced, and the customer service only steps in when there are deeper information that is required by the clients or the people they are servicing, right? So that's a very natural place for AI to support and help and augment. The other area is in terms of marketing content generation, right? So generative AI has really come to life. You can generate, an astronaut on the horse on the moon, and it does fantastic imagery, right? I think there were few movies also that recently came out just generated via AI, right? And obviously it's a long way to go to, but that's again changing very fast, very rapidly. And also because a lot of creators are fast adopters of such tools. And it's amazing, right? It's amazing to see such adoption. So these two functions, definitely fast adopters, and coding like we have discussed immensely, right? The coders are changing in terms of how they are using AI. So in terms of verticals and in terms of functions, I think these are the places where we can see fast adoption.
Right, right. Um, if I come back to India, I think we are using a lot of AI or have started using a lot of AI. So we're becoming users of the AI.
Yeah.
But are we developing enough? Because I think all the development work, it feels to me, is happening in US or in China or other countries. But we are consuming a lot of AI. We becoming. The other day I saw ChatGPT advertisement coming on TV. So it's like we are becoming users. We're getting addicted to it. But are we doing enough development of AI according to you, or we're lagging behind as a country?
That's a very good question, Rahul. And um, I think we started in a 400-meter race,
Mm-hmm.
about 100-meter behind it,
Right.
right? But if you see recently the India AI summit that happened, I think government has promised to put in $1.2 billion for the AI to drive AI forward, right? And a lot of focus has been given in terms of developing the infrastructure. So if you need about two or three broad themes to come ahead in AI. One is the talent pool, right?
Right.
Definitely, we have a lot of people coming out from STEM. They understand maths well. They're also embedded into different labs. We have some of the most prestigious engineering colleges, right? So I think a lot of research is taking shape. According to one of the Stanford indexes, I believe India is number 4 in terms of AI research from paper submissions and so on and so forth. So talent wise, I think we are great. We are great, right? We can cover up. Second is the compute,
Mhm.
the infrastructure. I think the government is now coming up and putting a lot of building pieces in place so the researchers can take advantage of it, right? But we just started 100 meters race,
Right.
much later in the game, right, of the 400 meters. So we have to double down on it. With Sarvam coming through, I think recently in India AI, they shared about their progress. There are a lot of good work that is happening, and I'm very optimistic because we have to build for India. The vernacular AI, which is going to be so important from an Indian contextual standpoint, requires us to invest into this space.
Right.
So I'm very optimistic
That thing should happen.
that thing will happen, and a lot of companies are putting a lot of research around it. So,
Right, right, right. So we are lagging behind, but maybe we should be able to catch up in some time. So another question I had is around usage of AI in investing per se. So we do a lot of stock research, right? And looking around companies, profitability, or different types of ratios, etc. Do you think AI can replace a large part of research in stock investings? And are you, because you are at Motilal Oswal, I want to know, but internally, have you started using AI? What sort of magical things you guys are trying to do when it comes to AI and using that in the stock research?
that's every time these questions with AI is so fast moving. I'm like, how do we answer these questions, right? But uh, so if you think about stock research, right? There's so many signals to capture. You have con call transcripts to understand. You have to look at the news. You have to understand the investor sentiments, macroeconomic factors. There's something which happens in announcements in US. India
Right.
market gets impacted. Uh, the financial ratios, just so many signals and of so many stocks, right? So it's just humanly impossible to go through all of that data and come up with deep research at the pace that requires it. I think to scale that up, AI is going to be a fantastic accelerator, right? So it'll be a research accelerator. I think it's a little bit away from being a decision maker, like in a lot of other areas that we are seeing. In fact, at Motilal, we produce a lot of deep research reports, and these research reports were very comprehensive and hard to be understood by our clients.
Mhm.
So we have launched a research assistant for our clients. If they go to our app and find research assistant, they can ask these kind of basic questions like give me recommendations on which stocks will perform well over the course of the next month, or certain specific question you have about a stock, like tell me about Tata Powers, give me financial ratios of XYZ, the technical screeners, so on and so forth, right? So we take all of the research that we conduct in house, and really simplify it, right? So we take very deep financial language and make it very contextual. In fact, what we have observed is clients are speaking in different languages.
Right.
So there's people speaking Tamil to that, people speaking Telugu to that, and that's what's most interesting about AI, right? It'll only increase the financial inclusion.
Right.
Now it's going to democratize this research right to the tier 3, tier 4 cities, and they can talk in their languages. Right. So that's about how do we bring this financial inclusion, which is one of our goals.
Right. How accurate is AI so far in stock research? Because even humans are not accurate when it comes to stock research, right? Stock, nobody can really predict prices, right? So what sort of comfort you are seeing when you're using AI for stock research? Are you getting some good signals? Have you done some back testings around it? How are you measuring the effectiveness of AI so far in doing the research?
Great question. So the research assistant that I'm sharing to you, it's more for us taking our research. So these are research conducted by our analysts, and we just make it easy to access.
Right.
So it doesn't do any of the prediction.
Okay.
It still ensures that the human in the loop is there in terms of what human has done the analysis, and what they are saying, we are able to reflect that in a very contextualized way. So that's the idea there. We are trying to steer away right now from really doing the predictions till we feel really comfortable from a prediction standpoint.
Right. Okay. What's the one thing that you are really, really, thrilled about AI? Like any use cases that you imagined that, 10 years down the line, 5 years down the line, 2 years down the line, I really want AI to be able to do this. Is there anything, and it could be not just stock investing, it could be anything that, you have some imaginations and you are thinking, can actually AI do this? Is there anything that you're thinking?
Think about it a lot. But I think one of the things which I'm really excited and passionate about is because from a financial inclusion standpoint, how do we take it to tier 3, tier 4,
Right.
if you will, right? So imagine you're in a world where you can ask the AI any question, not only about stocks, but if you are working with the brokerage for customer service, right? Where's my ledger report? Or I can ask AI, can you help me rebalance my portfolio, right? I can ask AI, how will my portfolio perform today?
Right.
Do I need to get out of the market?
Right.
So a real virtual assistant, a virtual financial assistant who stays with me and guides me through the course of it, right?
Right.
So that's one in terms of financial. Same thing, a virtual healthcare assistant whom I can feed all my data on a daily basis and get all the inputs and outputs in terms of how my health is doing, and can be more preventative,
Right.
rather than I have to go to the doctor for whatever reason, right? So how can it plan for that? How do I plan for learning, right? So a virtual assistant teacher, right? So I need a lot of assistance in my journey as I go forward, and I should have all these assistants and probably one assistant that can do it all for me.
Right. And how far are we from these imaginations? Are we getting closer to these, you think, or are we still far away from these?
It's hard to predict the timelines,
Right.
because if I look back 3 years back and said AI is still a little bit confused here, AI can't still do this. 2 years fast forward, right? It's completely changed.
Right.
So now the rapid change that we are seeing, it's hard to predict, but I imagine 5 years at the top, we should be able to do all of these things.
Right. Okay. Brilliant. So that's not far away.
That doesn't seem like far away.
Yeah. And what about the investments? So are you seeing that investments in AI theme will continue from here on, or do you think there would because there's a lot of money flowing into AI companies, be it the funding side of it. Do you think that's going to continue, or that might come to a stage where no more fundings because we have to see the returns coming out of it, right?
Good question. We can break it up into two different ways to think about, right? Will funding continue? I think the adoption that we are seeing is at the pace of light, if you will, right? I believe it just took 2 months for ChatGPT to have 100 million users,
Right.
right? And a similar product pre AI days that would have taken about a year or 2 years to get there. The adoption rate has been really, really fast paced, right? So that's why we are seeing this continuous cycle of investment, if you will. Now, if you think about AI as an investment from perspective of our investors, right? There are 3 or 4 segments we can break it up into. One is this AI infrastructure segment. Second is AI application segment. And third are probably AI adjacent segments, right? AI infrastructure is really proving it out in terms of NVIDIAs of the world. They are really called the shovels because if it snows, you need the shovel. And they're in the shoveling business, right? The chips, the infrastructure, everybody's going at it. AI application layer is being built out at a rapid pace. And there'll be a lot of winners and there'll be few losers along the way, right? So it's picking the right players in this, but like the big six in terms of Google, Microsoft, they already are showing demonstrable revenue through AI, right? So that's already proven in terms of they're generating revenue. So there's a push in that direction. And the last one is like the adjacent AI sectors, right? So if you're building a data center, you need cables, you need real estate, right? There's all this agency that needs to be developed to really support infrastructure and applications. So I think all of them great themes to think about from an investment perspective. You just have to be able to pick blocks which probably going to be the winners,
Right.
because there'll be some losers along the way.
Right. Siddharth, do you invest in AI stocks? Like, are you an investor also into AI companies?
More on the AI investment themes, yes.
You are. Okay.
Yeah.
There is a lot of talk about AI in bubble and it might crash or correct or whatever. Which side are you sitting on?
I know there's a lot of comparison with the dot-com era that's going on, right? Yeah, certain segments do look frothy for sure, right? It's then there are a lot of similarities because if you look at from an AI to dot-com bubble standpoint, and there are a lot of ground truths that we are seeing which are different in this particular cycle, right? So similarities are, yeah, there are certain segments which feels frothy. It could feel like bubble-like. There are high valuations, right? But if you look at what's happening on the ground today versus what was happening during the dot-com era, right? The dot-com era had companies which were being spun up,
Right.
but there were no revenues, right? You see clear pattern of revenues through the AI cycles currently. So that speaks volume in terms of the divergence of what it was in the dot-com bubble versus where we are right now. Obviously, there's going to be some corrections because of high valuations in quick short time period, but I think in long term there'll be a lot of winners. Recent report by, I believe, one of the big fours called out that there'll be about $15 trillion of economic value that AI will be contributing to the economy, right? And about $1.5 trillion in India of that.
Right.
And this is by 2030, right? Even let's assume 50% of it is true.
Right.
Still, there's a long runway to go in terms of value capture, and can definitely see a lot of value and a lot of investments making a lot of people happy,
Right.
in this
Right.
cycle.
Right. No, that's a very good thought that there is definitely a froth, but there is a reason for it to be frothy at the minute because of the revenues it is starting to generate. Okay. What about you using AI in your personal life? I want to ask that, like, which AI tools are you using, and how is that saving time for you, if it is saving any time or anything else that is saving it for you?
So I'm also similar users like a lot of everyone uses, right? Uh, Conversation assistants like Claude and ChatGPT primarily use it for brainstorming ideas, thinking through things, even helping me summarize some complex topics,
Right.
learn at times, right? Use it for coding. Use a lot of Claude for coding, right? So that's great to see the outcomes there. But my favorite is Notebook LLM. So
Mhm.
if you have not used it, highly recommend that. Right, it's a great learning tool. Right, if you're a learner, if you want to learn complex topics, right, you can just feed that data in Notebook LLM. It'll create podcasts for you. You can just walk around and listen to it and learn. So it just changes the game in terms of your learning curve about complex topics.
Well, give me more examples of Notebook LLM. Like, what all can you do with it? Anything that you've been trying?
That's my primary use case.
Right.
Just primarily for creating podcast and making it easy for me to learn
Right.
while I'm on the go.
Okay. So how do you create podcasts in that?
So it's a Notebook LLM. You go and feed, like I'm looking at some research papers.
Right.
So I'll feed bundle of research papers into it.
Right.
It'll take a lot of that information. You can say to create podcast out of it. It'll create it in a question answer format. And if you're in the gym, if you're walking around,
So rather than reading all of that, it's made it easier and also conversational in nature.
conversational in nature, and I can consume it
Right.
while I'm doing something else, and I can continue to learn it.
Right. Anything else that you are using AI for? Like any wearables or anything else, health wise maybe?
Not yet.
Right.
Hopefully, we'll get there, but I'm more on the building side. So I spend a lot of time building like the different products that we were speaking. So more on the building side, but then I leverage some of the AI to build AI.
Okay. In that case, few rapid fire questions on AI.
Sure.
Do you think AI is a threat or opportunity? Which side are you?
I am on the opportunity side, but I can definitely see, like we discussed earlier, people who are doomsday, they'll be on the threat side, but people who can adapt, learn, right, you'll be on the opportunity side.
One AI skill that everyone should learn, or AI tool?
I think it's AI fluency is just trying to get comfortable with some of these conversation assistants, right? Uh, all of you were actually using AI when you were using Google Maps, even before the conversational AI came through, right? But people who are not comfortable, highly recommend, just go there, get comfortable with it.
Right.
Because the idea here is how does it make you much more productive? Take away some of the tasks that you feel more drudgery towards, right? So
Right.
just use it.
One AI myth that we need to stop believing.
That it is for techies,
Right.
right? So the whole AI has really, reduced the chasm or short circuit the chasm in terms of people who are non-techie to start using AI and building things. So yeah, it's not for techies, it's for everyone now.
Your bold prediction for AI in India.
My bold prediction for AI in India, based on what we discussed earlier in terms of how AI talent is available, government is giving a push, right? We already see a lot of research coming out of India. I imagine in a decade or so, there'll be more AI entrepreneurs coming out of India, even in tier 3, tier 4 cities, building very native solutions for India, and probably will be the highest users of AI going forward, right? So I see most number of entrepreneurs taking shapes from India.
What's that one mistake you've made while using AI? Have you made any mistakes while using AI?
Yeah, I thought it was accurate and I didn't take a moment to verify it.
Right.
So after that, it has been trust but verify.
Right.
That's been my mantra going forward. I just thought it's accurate and didn't think of quickly verifying it because, yeah, it looks good.
Right. Brilliant. Thank you so much, Siddharth, for this conversation. It's definitely given me a perspective, and I think one of the biggest key takeaway is that it's not all doom and gloom. Definitely, there are new jobs that might get created. So adoption is the key here. And instead of worrying about I think it's time to start learning about it.
That's well summed up. Thank you, Rahul.
Thanks,
Really appreciate
Siddharth.
having
Thank you so much. If you haven't yet subscribed to our channel, humble request that you hit the subscribe button now, because your subscription is our motivation. My team and me gets really motivated once we see your subscription. So please hit the subscribe button now, and I'm going to see you very soon. Until then, keep rocking.